Welcome to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast, providing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs with the 3 INs: insights, inspirations, and intentional actions. Delivered through monologues and dialogues, we address topics like leadership, productivity, time management, work-life balance, and challenges like stress, conflict, mental health, and much more. Please do not hold back from suggesting specific topics and guests you would like on this podcast. Greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. This week's episode and topic is going to be a little bit different to what we have mostly been doing. It's called Sex, Love, and Relationship. And you may wonder, what has that got to do with mental fitness? Well, my answer is pretty straightforward. Everything. So we'll come to that. But first, as you can probably see if you've been here before, that it's a slightly different setup today. It is still in my recording studio, if we can call it like that. It's just been turned, what is that, 45 degrees, 90 degrees, whatever. Just been turned around a bit. So I'm on the red couch in our sanctuary. And the reason I decided to do it here is not particularly because of the topic, but in a way because of that. But more importantly, because my wife and I have just a few minutes ago been on a podcast as guests, as a couple, talking about our relationship. And also, my wife and I are now, really moving into the project that we're going to do together, as she is getting very close to completing her certification with the Vita coaching as a sex, love, and relationship coach. And a part of that is that we are going to be doing that together as well. And so she will have her part of the business, and I will do some bits and pieces there as well. But we will be doing things together for couples, or couple coaching, couple coaching couples. So because of that, a part of that, we built this sanctuary where our vision is to have couples coming here and do couples retreats as well. So the building is finished, the inside is finished, and now we're in the process of getting the bathroom done. I'll just very quickly show you, should you ever come here, kind of the view there for you, looking straight over the Pacific Ocean. And that includes straight from the bed as well. Yeah, so in the process of doing this journey, the part that we're going to do together, we are right at this moment also, we have got our logo, the website banner and all that, and the umbrella is going to be FY Coaching. So we got fycoaching.nz, fycoaching.com. And building that, and under that will be 3 main umbrellas, and one will be Kathy's relationship coaching, and in that I will also offer like unique coaching for men around sex, love, and relationship. Different to my coaching that have been doing for many years now, which is working mostly with business people. And then we will have the third component, which is us working together as a couple, working with couples. So why am I bringing sex, love, and relationship into this podcast, which is mostly geared towards like business owners and business leaders? One of the reasons for that is that when I work with my clients over the last couple of decades, and we work on their journey and building their mental fitness so they can show up more confident, more clear, more focused, and show up as better leaders in whatever they're doing. Always, or almost always, we also end up talking about intimate relationships, marriage, parenting, that stuff. because who we are, of course, shows up in that. And the challenges that we are having, the struggles that we are having, difficulties that we are facing, comes like shows up everywhere we are. Whether it's on the golf course, whether it's in bed, whether it is in the office, it is like who we are shows up wherever we go. So therefore, with my clients, we'll sometimes be talking about, so how can we grow our mental fitness so that we can show up in a better way in our intimate parts of our lives, our relationships. So you may then say, what has intimacy, sex, love, and relationship got to do with mental fitness? As I said, for me, everything. In my own life, in my journey through relationships, I have definitely found, plenty of challenges. I have to be honest and say that the most difficult thing in my entire life, if I have to pick one thing has been the most difficult, most challenging, it has been relationships, intimate relationships. And so that is, in a way, really where, my lack of mental fitness has shown up in sometimes a really big way. Um, as my wife and I just shared in this podcast we were on, that back in the earlier days of our relationship, and we've been together for nearly 35 years now, and we have definitely been through the ups and the downs and wanting to get out of it several times. But we're still together, and most importantly, we are still together and we're still growing in it. So it's not a stagnant relationship. We're always looking for ways to grow. But coming back to my story, in the earlier days or earlier years of this relationship, we could go weeks of not connecting because there was tension. There's been whatever, some argument, something happened and not connecting, and it's just taking days and days, sometimes a couple of weeks before we're really reconnecting and coming back together again. So it's not that we don't have conflicts these days. So we've got plenty of those, and they come quite frequently. But we don't go weeks. We very rarely will go a whole day. Most of the time, we're out of it within a few hours, and occasionally we're out of it within a couple of minutes. And what makes a difference is mental fitness, because the mental fitness is the ability to meet challenges in a positive way. So we can, of course, meet challenges in a negative way. Like we can meet challenges with anger and frustration, with worry, and absolutely, and all of us do that at times. But if we're really honest with ourselves and sort of reflect back, how often does that actually work really well? How often do we actually get the results we really want? And particularly consistently getting those results. And it won't be very often. And when there are results that will sometimes or often come with some level of resentment, either on our part or somebody else's part. Um, so it's not the ideal place to solve challenges and conflicts and issues from. So the shift is, and it's not like it goes from this approach to this approach just like that. It is an ongoing journey, an ongoing process. Just like we're building your physical fitness, it's an ongoing process, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger the longer that you keep practicing. So when you're practicing mental fitness, it shows up everywhere in life, and it definitely will show up in your intimate relationships because that is a place where many people, not just me, but many people are finding really challenging to, say, be completely honest and open with what we're feeling, what is working, what is not working, what we would like and what we don't like, and asking for things and even communicating about things like sex. For me was extremely difficult in the early years And I wouldn't say today is just piece of cake, super easy. Not quite there, still some progress on that, but it is significantly easier, uh, which again means that the results that I'm getting and we are getting as a couple are much better, much quicker, and much bigger. So for me, it is definitely like bringing in that like growing that mental fitness, not as a black and white thing, but as an ongoing process, ongoing journey of gaining better and better. And this podcast that we've just been on is the coach, who's a relationship coach, doing it, did it very cleverly by actually doing a coaching session with us for an hour, and she will then clip that and put comments to that, and then make that the podcast episode when it goes out. And it was wonderful to be a client for for a change, and to be able to and share together with my wife, and then get a professional person's feedback and suggestions and ideas, and diving into that. And even it was just an hour. We walked away with ideas and things that we're going to try out and practice, which is just absolutely wonderful. Whether we are actually, so yeah, for a start, coming back to that, in order for us to do that, in and of itself requires a certain level of mental fitness. Even just to say yes to come on a podcast and be open about your relationship in something that's going to be put out in the public. Step one, step two, then while we are in that situation with the camera rollings, the level of openness and vulnerability that we could put into that conversation, one, to get value for us, and two, to add value to that coach for something to put on her podcast, also requires a higher level of mental fitness to be able to do that. So coming back to the mental fitness in our relationships, and again come back to mine and my story. So one of my strategies, and I'm not saying that in a proud way whatsoever, one of my strategies for dealing with conflict that is absolutely totally not useful, but is one of the strategies I must have learned when I was a baby or a toddler, is to run away. In the positive intelligence, avoider structure is called being the avoider. So I'm really good when there's conflict between my wife and I. I'm really good at just disappearing, just poof, and I'm gone. And I'm quite happy in my own space doing that. But of course, that doesn't work for her. And of course, if something doesn't work for one of the parties in a relationship, it doesn't work for the relationship. So again, over the years of practicing and learning, it takes mental fitness. For me, like the higher my mental fitness is, the better I am at not running away. Or I will still run away, but I will come back quicker, and be open to meeting that conflict and talking it through. So I can resolve things in my own mind if there's conflict, and go, yeah, okay, maybe I need to make some changes. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I'm all good. I'm happy to reconnect with my wife. But for her, whether it's because she is a female or not, for her, it doesn't work that way. She needs to get that, she needs to reconnect through the reconnecting, through conversation, through talking through and sharing about what just happened. And it's not that it's not useful for me, it absolutely is. And it's not that I love doing it, I certainly don't. But I do it because it works. It works for me, it especially works for her, and if it works for her and me, it works for the relationship. And then we can come back together and reconnect so much quicker. So when there are days or times where my mental fitness is not at the highest in the moment. There might be some shit going on. I might be really tired or grumpy or whatever it is. Then mental fitness seems to be at a slightly lower level. And then it is much easier for me to run away and then not meet that challenge or that conflict, or standing up to what is happening, particularly in the moment. So instead of running away, then meeting it. So some days that's harder for me, other days it's easier. So again, what I'm saying with that is that mental fitness, we can have no good mental fitness in general, but there are still moments of the day or the week or times when there are too much other stuff happening, and it's just more difficult to tap into that mental fitness. So the outcome again with the mental fitness in the moment is down, is avoiding, and is then trouble. So for my wife, it's the other way around. So she's more confrontational. It's more like, okay, we got a problem here. Bang, let's meet it head on. Let's talk about this, figure it out, let's sort it out. And again, it's not about right or wrong. What it is about is that her way of doing that when she is in a state of lower mental fitness in the moment and not connected into like her essence, into her heart, then that confrontation comes through as aggressive. And then me being the avoider, the more aggressive she gets, the more I will avoid. Just like the more I avoid, the more upset and hurt she becomes. So the avoiding or the aggression doesn't work um, when mental fitness is not there or is low. So for both her and I to turn this around, we need to take some deep breath, and reconnect with ourselves, reconnect with our hearts and our what I typically will call our inner being, and finding that place where the mental fitness can then rise up. And then I can meet her without having to run away and stand in that storm that is there without giving in. And she can come into that without the aggression side of it, just like, hey, honey, this is not good. No, we really need to talk about what happened, and we need to figure this out so that we can get out of this and hopefully not go back into this place again too soon. And then that's a different approach to that. But that takes mental fitness to do that because it is so much easier just to go into our patterns of reaction, whether that is the more aggressive, let's just, I'm not meaning physically hitting, but let's attack this problem. Or the other side is, oh, let's just walk away from this problem and hope that it just disappears by itself, which of course we know they don't. Um, so then when we can do that, then that leads then into the like the intimacy. And sex is not just intimacy and sex to me is again not the same thing, but they do intimately go together. So when things can be resolved, then there is a deeper level of connection, and in that, sex itself is not only far more likely to happen, but it's also far more likely to be really good and really nurturing. Then that automatically leads into a deeper sense of intimacy or connection. So the sex part can then lead into that, which then leads back into even better intimate connection through sex, which then and then the ball kind of rolls in the way that I think most people want their relationship to roll until it hits a boulder next time and it falls apart and then it needs to be picked up again. And that seems to be the story different of our relationship. And from our understanding and my understanding of working with clients for 30 years, we're not alone in that. So hopefully you listening to this, there's something that you can connect to in that. And so let's just remind ourselves again what mental fitness is. And mental fitness is the purpose of growing mental fitness is to increase our ability to meet challenges in a positive way, to meet challenges in a positive way, because the challenges are going to be there no matter what. And we have to meet them one way or the other. And meeting them in a positive way, I am sure you can agree to that. That is a much better way. both because it's going to feel better and two, because it's going to give better results, whether it's business conflict or relationship conflicts or any other type of conflict. That would have to be the case. Then, of course, we come to the next obvious question is, so how do we grow our mental fitness? And this podcast episode today is obviously not about that. It's sort of just setting that scene for that. The episode, 2 episodes ago, to episode 28, I think it was, that whole episode was about growing, the ways we can grow our mental fitness. And back in season one, there were a couple of episodes in there that was also specifically geared towards the actual growing of mental fitness. Let me just have a quick note here to see if there's anything else that I want to share before we close up to today. No, I just want to finish with just a simple little tool that is both useful for growing your mental fitness, but also really useful in terms of relationships and love and intimacy and sex. And that's coming back to my favorite, which is breathing. So my invitation to you next time, if you are in a relationship, whether it can even be like a friendship or family, where you're feeling like tension or conflict in any shape or form, allow yourself to just, even if that person is right in front of you or around the corner, allow yourself to come into your breathing. Just three or even one, but if you can, 3 to 5 deep, slow breath. And nobody needs to know. You can do it like this. And nobody knows it is happening. If there's nobody looking, nobody watching, you can be a bit more intense with it. And if you're in a space right now where you can do that, either obviously or not so obvious, just take a couple of breaths with me. Aha. And you can put a sigh or a little bit of sound in that exhalation if there's nobody around. Or one more together. So breathing deeply and breathing slowly nurtures the heart. It sends a message to the heart and therefore our whole being that we are safe, whether we are or not. But that's a message we're sending through the breathing, which means that any tension, any conflict, any worry, anxiety, frustration, anger that is percolating in the mind around that person can then just ease off a bit or even disappear altogether. And that allows you to come into connecting more to your heart, to your inner being, which means that whatever you do next, you're going to be in a better place. So if you're going to meet that person and that challenge in front of you, you're going to be in a better place to do that. Then if you want to take this to the next level, if you are with a partner and you are, say, in bed and are closely connected with each other, um, that is a place where you can use the breathing. So you again on your own can do that just very quietly. The person doesn't need to know, but you are connecting with your breath in that. But even more powerful, if you can do this with your partner, say, let's just take a few breaths together. And you might just take a minute, 2 minutes, or sometimes we will spend 5 minutes or even 10 minutes just feeling each other's breath. So we can actually feel by being physically close enough that we can feel. And then what we will often do is we will kind of alternate, if you know what I mean, is that one person is breathing out while the other person is breathing in. So if we are tummy to tummy, then there's that movement, which is also fine. It's just another experience. But that is a way of creating of creating much deeper connection, creating intimacy. And then in that, whatever happens next, whatever that may be, is going to be a more deep and fulfilling experience. So with that, let's finish this episode with one last breath together. Deep breath in, and a big sigh out. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success. If you have stories of how mental fitness has benefited you that you are happy to share, go to my website, mikael.nz, click on podcast and fill in the guest application form. If you want direct support from me utilizing my 40 years of mental fitness learning and practice, email me at coach@mikael.nz or message me on LinkedIn. Any feedback, review, share, follow, like, or any other good stuff is of course appreciated. Thank you for listening to Mental Fitness, the Gateway to Success podcast. I'm your host, Mikael Nielsen.